It's Peter Dills, AM 870, The Answer. Yeah, we've discovered a whole new thing, Michael, about these liquor laws. We got to figure out the answer. I'll have Jim, he's a friend of mine, I'll have him call in one of these weekends to explain it, because I brought it up. I'm smelling the right sauce here. I just don't know how to explain it, but I know that it is the way it is. But then it blows my mind if this is true. I know there's a restaurant, Italian restaurant on Fair Oaks in Pasadena that there's a wine in there. They charge four times the amount of what you would buy it for at Save On's.
We need to know how this pricing is.
Yeah,
because it sounds like each type of business gets a different type of pricing.
Well, because they want to level the playing field. There's a whole big thing about even in-store tastings. You go into a supermarket, Whole Foods, Vons, Pavilions, you can taste.
That's right,
in a certain area. But to keep the level playing field, you have to offer that to a liquor store as well.
And liquor stores don't necessarily have tastings. Some do now.
Right. But you have to give them the opportunity. Anyway, I think we're on a whole
another subject.
Right. All right. Anyway, so if you're listening to the podcast right now, this entire podcast is dedicated. Well, I've got one other. Well, no, it's going to be about wine as well. San Antonio Winery has a really nice Sunday brunch. It is dynamite. With the Bellinis, the mimosas, and the music, of course. And it's Sunday brunch. Today was a beautiful day, and it's just like every time I talk about their Sunday brunch at San Antonio Winery, it's called the 1917 Bistro. I cross my fingers to make sure that the weather is good outside. Obviously, you can eat inside, but
outside is
nice. is
really nice.
Well, let me reintroduce Michael Higgins. He's actually a neighbor of mine, which is kind of funny.
Just a couple blocks.
I felt bad driving to your house today because you're so close, and I thought, God, that's bad for the environment. I'm driving a car 2 blocks, but I had somewhere to go afterwards, and so anyway,
it worked.
Isn't that weird? That's the way I think. I'm like, I could have walked to his house. So we did a little video on Facebook before it happened. But anyway, author, tell us how you got it. Well, I know that you had an in-flight magazine, but where did the love affair with wine start?
Well, my magazine is Flying Adventures for people who own private airplanes, who love food and wine experiences. And when I got a new editor-in-chief, he didn't drink.
Okay.
So I had to get involved with all the wine experiences. And that's how I dug in, met winemakers, chefs, and because we had content about food and wine in every issue of the magazine. And then I wanted to go to Argentina to find out why the Malbec is so good. And that turned into a book series, which you see here, Exploring Wine Regions. Argentina is the first book, all because of Malbec.
I wonder out loud. Are you getting paid to just fly around the world and drink wine?
No.
You're paying others. You're paying others so you can fly around the world and drink wine.
Not even that either.
Oh man. Okay, no. We're talking to. If you're listening to the podcast right now, we're actually talking to Michael Higgins. He is a PhD doctor, and PhD in what?
In business.
In business, okay.
In business.
And your business is writing books about wine. About regional wine.
I photograph them, I write them, I design them, I produce them, I publish them.
They're actually very beautiful, and I don't want to use a simplistic term, but I could see this on, this is something cool on somebody's coffee table. Because they're so beautiful, and you've done all the photography as well.
All this photography is mine.
How long does that take? How long does it take to put together a book? Years. So the one in your hand right there.
3 years.
Wow.
Yes,
it's amazing.
And this is California that I know so well because I live here. It still takes 3 years.
Now I know the book because you gave one to me, autographed one to me, but. You've got a ton of wineries that are covered, and then you talk about where people can possibly stay when they're in those cities. Well, maybe that's going to a different
But that's
subject.
true, though.
But
I mean, the primary part of the book is the wineries, of course, and traveling the wineries.
Right.
But the secondary is the food, because the food and the wine. And it's restaurants at wineries, food and wine pairings at wineries, great restaurants, and then the accommodations, because this book is about going to those regions, and you've got to stay somewhere. And I have places you can stay in the vineyards.
Yeah. So, and it's you've done all this by yourself, and you might be in Lodi, and then you're talking to the guy or the gal that owns a hotel, and you're explaining to them what you're doing, and what is the just a mental picture in your book. You wanted to talk about Edna Valley today.
Yeah, you wanted a topic, I thought, Chardonnay, Edna Valley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we talk about Chardonnay and Edna Valley, I have a question. What is buttery? What is oaky? And what would be neutral? Crisp.
Okay. Well, crisp is without the other two.
Yeah. That's why I gave you three.
Yeah. And oaky is, of course, the oak.
Okay.
And Chardonnay doesn't necessarily have to be aged in oak. In fact, some of it's not even aged, but
So
some
that
of
would
it
be
is
the
aged in
neutral,
oak.
the unoaked.
Stainless steel.
Stainless
It's
steel.
Stainless
like
steel.
Tolosa, Lincourt. I got a bunch of them. I can't remember. Yeah.
There's lots of them. I mean,
Yeah.
Chardonnay likes to grow in cold environments, and we have a lot of cold environments in California. Maybe we think of California being warm, but we have a cold Pacific Ocean, and that brings cold air into the valleys. And these places that are close to the ocean like that are getting the coolness that's good for Chardonnay as well as Pinot Noir. Those are the two grapes from Burgundy. And think of Burgundy. It's cold. It snows there. It's very cold. So these two grapes love it. And I'm really not into the California Chardonnays like you're talking about, the buttery and the oaky. And I like the Burgundy better until I went to Edna Valley.
Okay.
And Edna Valley, so people know where it is, San Luis Obispo, that beautiful, cool town. It's literally adjacent. The airport is right next to the town, and the airport's right at the beginning of the valley of all the vineyards and wineries. And they have direct access to the cold ocean that blows that cold air and that fog into that valley. That's perfect for Chardonnay.
Edna Valley's been producing wines for years and years and years. I remember when, 35 years ago, I worked at a grocery store. The wine was called Edna Valley. The label was Edna Valley. So
and there is an Edna Valley Vineyards, too.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's probably what it is. But that was, like I said, that was years ago. So when you mentioned Edna Valley, I said, I know Edna Valley.
Well, Chamisal is where the first plantings of vineyards were in 1973. So what is that, 52 years ago? Mm-hmm. And that vineyard, or that winery, has access to these old vines. And, old vines produce great wine. And actually, this is kind of really good for the story, because I went to Edna Valley for the book, exploring, going to wineries. And after I've been going there for a week, I was surprised that I loved the Chardonnay. And I'm thinking, what am I doing loving Chardonnay? Mm-hmm. And when I was at Chamisal, I was hanging out with the winemaker who studies all in agriculture and terroir and all the things that go into great farming of grapes. He said the reason is because this is the coldest appellation. That's appellation, a place to grow grapes, in California. So Edna Valley is the coldest, and that coldest probably really represents Burgundy the best it can. It may not snow there, but it's got the coldness to get those grapes. I loved it. If I'm going to drink a Chardonnay, I'm going to want it to be from Edna Valley. We're
talking to Michael Higgins, AM 870. You're listening to AM 870, The Answer. If you're listening to the podcast right now, Michael is an author. We're discussing two of his books. Well, brought along two of them. exploring wines. One is the California that we're talking about right now, and the other one he has in his hand is Mexico. He's done one on Argentina, and he's looking at going to Greece soon as well.
Yes, Greece is the next one. I've been there twice already. I'll be back in May.
And you can get a full book out of Greece.
You know what? I want to do smaller books because I can do them quicker. Remember, you asked me about the time. Yeah. I want to do more books, shorten the time. And I thought Greece will be great. I can get this done. Right. Greece is going to be another big book. Yeah. It's interesting. They've been making wine there for 5,000 years. Mm-hmm. Imagine that. 5,000 years. Yeah. Interesting. And so there's going to be lots of history. You know why the Italians have wine?
Because the Greeks.
The Greeks took it there.
Okay.
Do you know why the French have wine?
Because the Germans took it there.
Because the Italians took it there. Remember the Romans were spreading, vineyards all over Europe? They went to Spain and France. Well, they weren't those countries yet.
Well, I got one out of the two right.
Yes, you did. But, it's an interesting history of where things started from.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Marco Polo got this pasta from Spain? China. Yeah, everything has to start somewhere.
And there's a god of wine. So we have to talk about the god of wine. Yeah. So this book is going to not be so small.
Right.
It's going to be interesting. I'm enjoying putting it together.
You just wanted to put together a pamphlet, and now all of a sudden, it's okay. What is this guy? Oh, Jim said he would call next week. Yeah, and then John says Silver Oak and Jordan. And the best is Maya Camus. So there you go.
I know those three.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny.
It's interesting, people's favorites.
Yeah. Well, my favorite is Champagne. Tattinger. Brought to you by
I know you love that.
Right here on AM 870 KRLA, The Answer. We're here every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Next week, we're going to be talking with JP. He's a chef over at Musso and Frank's. We're going to see why that place is so wonderful. And then we're going to be talking about pizza in 2 weeks. Michael Freeman, he is the owner and pizza maker there at Zello's in Monrovia. He's got an interesting story too, Michael. He actually worked at a restaurant in San Francisco, and the pizza that he makes is actually a cornmeal base.
That should be really good.
Yeah. And it's the menu.
Probably a different kind of crunchiness to the crust, I would think.
It's thin, kind of like you would do with the Chicago-style pan pizza. And the menu that he has is so simple. He has a beet salad, and he's got this pizza where obviously you can get different toppings. But if I was to open a pizza restaurant, that's the way I would do it. I would say, it's going to keep it simple. All right, we got another break, but we're going to come back, continue our conversation with Michael Higgins about his book, Exploring Wines in California.
Okay.
All right, food lovers, Christmas is over, but the season for incredible meals never ends. Let me tell you about my go-to spot for the best meats in town. Of course, it's Huntington Meats and Poultry at the Fairfax Market on Fairfax. Picture this, a perfectly seared steak, tender and juicy, fresh from the grill, or a Sunday roast so flavorful that your family's still going to be talking about it days later. That's the magic of Huntington Meats. They've got it all: Harris Ranch beef, premium cuts of pork and lamb, house-made sausages, and even specialty items you didn't even know that you needed. Jim Cascone and his team are there. They are true butchers, ready to help you pick up that perfect cut and serve up some great cooking tips along the way. So why wait? Whether it's a midweek dinner or weekend feast, Huntington Meats at the Farmers Market on Fairfax is the place to go. Swing by and experience the difference, or call ahead and place your order, because quality like this doesn't wait. This is Peter Dills reminding you, life's too short for bad meat. Huntington Meats is not just food, it's an experience. Huntington Meats and Poultry at the Farmers Market on Fairfax. Quality you can taste, tradition you can trust. Visit today.
You have got to get to Gladstone's, smack dab in the middle of Southern California, in the thriving little hamlet of Long Beach, overlooking the Queen Mary. Gladstone's. Why? Well, seeker of wisdom, truth, and gustatorial delights, the mere fact that you honor the world with your magnificent presence is reason enough to revel with abandon in the freshest and most tantalizing provisions from the fertile plains and the briny deep at Gladstone's. Feed your happy little face mouth-watering lobster from the seven seas, clam chowder so delicious George Washington would swim the ocean for, salmon so scrumptious it might kiss you, specials every day, and all at a price that won't bust the budget. Yes, I'm talking to you. It's the just reward for you being you. You have got to get to Gladstone's, smack dab in the middle of Southern California, in the thriving little hamlet of Long Beach, overlooking the Queen Mary. Gladstone's.
Hey everybody, it's Peter Dills, your official guy who knows where to dine, and today I'm taking you to Sierra Madre. It's a gem. Casa del Rey restaurant. Whether you're a fan of sizzling fajitas, their famous chili rellenos, or simply crave some chips and salsa, it's done right. Casa del Rey hits the spot every time. What I love most about Casa del Rey is their consistency. It's been serving Sierra Madre locals and visitors alike since 1972. It's the one and only. Family-friendly, wallet-friendly, and yes, taste bud-friendly too. Let's talk about their margaritas. Whether you're talking classic, spicy, or even fruity, they've got a margarita just for you. And trust me, this place is where good food meets great vibes. Yes. So if you haven't been to Casa del Rey, make plans now. Find them at 31 North Baldwin, right in the heart of Sierra Madre, or just give them a call. Get some takeout. 626-355-6060. 626-355-6060. Casa del Rey, where flavor lives and good times never end. And of course, as always, tell them Peter Dills sent you. I didn't know what to think. It's Peter Dills, AM 870. The ENSA. Yes, thank you. Thank you to Tattinger Champagne, of course, bringing us the show. They were the first sponsor to come around. If you own a restaurant or a business, or got bus signs and digital billboards and radio and all sorts of stuff, we can talk about your business right here on the radio. So, Michael, do you hear that?
The background?
Yeah, the background.
I do.
That's because you and I are actually in a restaurant, an undisclosed restaurant on Brand Boulevard right here in Glendale.
I like it.
Yeah.
Where's my fork?
Well, I got you the water.
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the ABC laws, we can't drink during the show, but we can ask the chef for maybe a piece of steak or a glass of Chardonnay from Edna Valley afterwards.
I think that's a real good idea.
Yeah. So, getting back to your book, Exploring Wine Regions, California, that is your fifth book, sixth book, seventh?
That's my fourth book. Argentina, Bordeaux, France.
Right.
Oh, this is Central Coast, California. That's
Okay.
third book.
Okay.
Mexico is fourth, and Greece is fifth.
Okay. Well,
And Greece is underway.
Greece is underway. All right. Central Coast, what would that – give me some of the regions that would include.
So the Central Coast is the coast along the ocean.
Got it.
North of Los Angeles, south of San Francisco.
Okay.
So it's Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo County, and Monterey County.
Okay.
And Paso Robles is in there, which is probably the most famous spot. And Paso Robles is actually in the San Luis Obispo County.
Okay. Now, is Paso Robles? I mean, I've been to Paso Robles, but that is that's inland a little bit.
It's a little more inland. It's north of the city of San Luis Obispo, and they make excellent red wines. The Bordeaux, the Cabernet Merlots, the Zinfandel there is really good.
But
and the Rhone varietals, like the Syrah. Oh my gosh, it's a great region for Syrah.
But the Chardonnays, you prefer them from Edna Valley area.
I
Yes.
believe.
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, well,
yeah.
I do, but I believe in terroir. Terroir is the location the grapes are grown.
Right.
It's the soil, it's the climate, it's the weather, and if you pick your wines based on terroir, you will be drinking better wine. So Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, definitely from the Edna Valley, not from Paso Robles. But there's other cold places like the Russian River in Sonoma, or how about in Santa Barbara? You know, that Santa Barbara has those east-west mountains, so the cold air just comes right on in. The Santa Rita Hills.
Solvang?
Yeah, but it's west of Solvang. The
Right.
Santa Rita Hills. That's the name of that little valley before you get to Solvang. And it's incredible wines, as long as you're getting the cold wines, which are the Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir, and then Syrah is an interesting grape. You have two different kind of wines. You have cold weather Syrah and you have warm weather Syrah. And Santa Barbara County is really a great Syrah area because you get the cold from the Santa Rita Hills. Then when you get into Solvang, which is San Ynez, now you're getting to the warm weather Syrah. What a great tasting if you think about it. Move from cold to warm, and as you keep going farther east, the weather gets warmer, and you're going to taste warmer weather Syrah.
Okay. The book itself, we live in Pasadena. I know you had mentioned that it's available in Romans, but how can our listeners be a part of your revolution of wine? How can they get the book?
Okay, so the books are distributed. My distributor is Baker and Taylor, and they distribute them all over the country. So bookstores and wine shops all over the country, plus the two big ones, Barnes & Noble and Amazon. They're very easy to get. And if you want them autographed, go to my website, exploringwineregions.com, and I will give autographs to your listeners.
My.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. All right.
So that's how they can get it.
All right. Well, in studio right now is Michael C. Higgins, Ph.D., and he's an author. He's working on his fifth book to deal with Greece. This has been an enjoyable segment, just talking about wine, just talking about Central Coast wines. You don't, but you don't. Are you a big sparkling wine guy like I am? Or?
I love sparkling wines. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's been too long since you and I have sipped a Tattinger together. It was years ago. We did it in your living room, two blocks from my house.
I know.
I remember that. We need to do it again.
Yeah, we will. I've got plenty.
Good.
I don't know why I have plenty, but I've got plenty. It's in the garage.
No, it needs to be in the refrigerator. Nice and cold and ready.
Yeah. Oh, do you think... I don't.
Do you like it warmer?
No. I don't believe in storing champagne and sparkling wine in the fridge until I'm ready to actually drink it.
I keep a full bottle and a half bottle in my refrigerator because I never know when I'm going to open it.
Okay.
And the rest of it's in my wine cellar.
Okay.
So the wine cellar, is 55, 60 degrees in that range.
Oh.
But you never know when you're going to open a bottle, so you got to have at least 2 bottles in the refrigerator. And I like a half bottle because sometimes you're going to drink a little bit and then go on to a wine.
Yeah, and Tattinger does have a half bottle, which is
so smart.
Which is just about perfect. Now, let's be honest. Could I finish a full bottle of Tattinger? Certainly,
easily.
But
it's so good.
It's so good. But half a bottle will do me just fine.
Yes.
So we're talking to Michael Higgins, Ph.D. He's written all these books, and we plan to have him in the studio at least once a month. So we'll need to figure out different subjects for you to talk about. But I think the sky's the limit with this because of your contacts and people that we can kind of co-interview.
We could do that too.
People that have been in the business and have seen the change in the business. Getting back to what I told you before. Yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, I read an article about tequila, and they said that tequila prices are going to be coming down because of the lack of interest, really. Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. The demand was there, so the prices were up, and now the demand has cooled a little bit. So now that the price war, which is good for the consumer.
Time to buy our best bottle.
Yeah. Well, no, just hold on a few more weeks. I think that you'll be seeing prices
get better.
Prices will go down. But then today, I was reading the same thing about wine. And that's how I started the show. I asked you, Michael, are there too many wineries? And you emphatically said no. More
never.
Choice. No, more choice.
More choices, and they compete more.
Yeah,
higher quality.
I just want to make sure that people don't get into the business for the wrong reason. How's that? I'm backtracking a little bit, but I don't want things to be saturated with bad stuff. I want it to be saturated with good stuff. And your reply would be, well, Peter, don't worry about that because the bad stuff would go.
It'll disappear.
It will disappear. All right. Well, great show. Thank you, Michael.
If
you need to get a hold of me, my email is thechefknows@yahoo.com. Thechefknows@yahoo.com. If you're driving home from Santa Barbara right now, you can listen to the show for the podcast and follow us on Facebook. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
All right.
I enjoyed.
That's it for now.
Dining with Dills. Dining with Dills. Dining with Dills. You gonna get your delicious fill. Yeah, dining with Dills. It's all good.